Many a times we come across statements like some applications share a common source code. For example, the new Edge browser from Microsoft has taken the source code from Google's Chrome browser. We might have also heard that a process is different from an application. This creates a lot of confusion in people's mind. So in today's video, let us understand the difference between a source code and application and a process. Folks who are learning about embedded C programming, it is absolutely important for them to first know about the difference between these three terms. So let us get started. Let us first try to understand what do we mean by the term source code. Software organizations like Microsoft or Google hires a bunch of software engineers. These engineers develop various softwares on the behalf of these corporate organizations. So the engineers might take up a programming language like Python, Java, C or C++ or something like that and write the source code for the software that is intended to be developed. Let us say that a programmer has taken C language to develop the source code. The source code thus produced by the programmer in C language will have .c extension. Let us assume that the name of the source code is program.c. Hence we can say that a source code is a file that is written by a programmer which has a .c extension, but this file cannot be made to run on any system. Hence a source code is useless for the end users and it is not given to end users. Once a source code has been written, then from this source code, the software engineers produces an application that can be made to run on computers. The process of converting a source code to an application is known as compilation, and the software that makes this thing happen is known as a compiler. This process has 4 stages that goes by the name preprocessor, translator, assembler and linker. We will look into each stage at a later stage. So an application is not written by a programmer, but it is converted using compiler from a source code. The file thus produced from a source code, that is from program.c, will have an extension .exe or .out. Let us assume that the file thus produced from program.c goes by the name program.exe. This file can be made to run on a system, and this is the file that is actually given to end users. Once this application file is given to end user, it remains on their system's primary memory, that is hard disk drive, and does not require system's resources like RAM, CPU resources or GPU resources. When the user double-clicks the application file, then this application file gets launched using the Windows launcher, and then it starts to consume system's resources like RAM, CPU resources, GPU resources, and we can say that the application has been converted to a process. Hence we can say that a source code that has been written by a programmer gets converted to an application via the process known as compilation, and this application when gets launched by Windows launcher gets converted to a process. So now let us take the example of Edge browser that has been developed by the Microsoft organization. So software engineers who are working on the behalf of Microsoft organization will develop a source code for Edge browser. This source code will have an extension of .c if the source code is written in C language. A compiler will convert this source code into an application, and when a user launches this application into his or her system, then it will get converted into a process. Now, in order to differentiate between an application and a process, we can say that an application is not active until and unless a user launches it into a system using the Windows launcher. Hence, an application is just residing on the hard drive of the system. Once this application gets converted to a process, then it will demand many resources of our system like RAM, CPU, GPU and network depending upon the type of the application. So just to summarize what we have already seen, we can say that a source code having a .c extension is written by programmers. These files are not given to users but are used by software organizations to produce application out of them. Next comes the application file which has .exe or .out extension. This file is not written by a programmer but is converted from source code via a compiler. This application file is actually given to the end user. When a user launches this application file via the Windows launcher, then this application gets converted to a process. An application will simply reside on the hard drive until it is launched by the user and will not require any of the resources of the system. Hence, one can say that an application is a passive file since it does not require much of system's resources. Whereas an application, when it is launched, it gets converted to a process and it requires many of the system's resources depending upon the type of the application. So it can be termed as an active file. Thanks for watching. Drop a like if you found this video helpful. Leave a comment if you have any query regarding the topic. And don't forget to subscribe and share this video with others.